same day, as Sula by Toni Morrison, because I don't know. I feel like I've got words to say, even though if you watch Sula, clearly I cannot put them into coherent sentences and really do the book justice. However, I'm really hoping that I will be able to do Tropic of Orange by Karente Yamashita a little bit more justice, because I actually wrote a paper on this recently, and when I say recently, I mean like I finished it a couple days ago. Um, so Tropic of Orange is a postmodernist slash contemporary work. I argue it's contemporary, but other critics see it as postmodernist in its description of like meta narrative chapters and how those sort of influence the novel as well. But anyways, it Yamashita describes her world of Los Angeles through a magical realist lens, and it goes over 7 characters through 7 days, each with their own chapter, so 49 chapters. Um, and it goes over how the Tropic of Cancer in Mexico sort of gets entangled in an orange, and then you see like native plants and natives from South America um, are seen through globalization and Western imperialism, and how Western neoliberalism, in the economic sense, really privatizes both their lives and their labor, and how we see like border crossing into the United States and how that's handled, whether that's through free capital and as well as people, and how those differentiate or how those are differentiated. And then you see in LA, you know, a really big topic is like the homeless population and how that's handled, and it's you really do get like an insider view, and she does a really great job of creating these very distinct characters who all have their own motives and are interconnected with one another, but not too much to the point where there she's trying to like create a story between the characters. It's more like the characters build the story. It's not a story about the characters, but the characters build the story. And talking about how like the contemporary is linked, intimately linked to generational trauma, and like generations and generations of oppression, and how when you're talking about your community's oppression now, you cannot help but talk about oppression and trauma that happened before then. And I think Tropic of Orange is a really, really great work of the contemporary, and how we are aware, as like as a critic calls it, a hyper awareness of time. Time is running out, and we are aware time is running out in a very globalized world, and the criticisms of that, because what is a globalized world pushed from the first world global north perspective, right? Because a universal we does not mean we for everybody, right? There are clearly differences for whether you're born in the global north or born in the global south, and if you move to the global north from the south, that still doesn't mean that you're a part of that we, you know. There's a lot of differences that still come with that, and to promote, a globalization when there's such disparity and such we'll stick with disparity um, amongst the global north and global south, then you can't really call it a globalized world. But at the same time, we are becoming a very globalized world through social media, the net, the internet, various types of media such as the news, which is very prevalent in this. This was written much before, like, what we know now as social media became a thing, became like mainstream, and just the way she goes about it, and the way magical realism is used to describe all of these issues that Yamashita is trying to capture is fantastic. She really takes magical realism and brings it into the contemporary, whether that's through immigrants who create miracles. Sorry for my tummy. I don't know if that's picking it up. I need to eat something. Through Super Scum NAFTA wrestling matches that critique, neoliberalism, and how the advent of NAFTA really, on the surface, proposed a global we between Mexico, the U.S., and Canada, but in reality, really diminished and sort of stripped away a lot of their labor rights in Mexico and dehumanized them from their labor. There's a word for that, but alas, whenever I turn on the camera, I can't think. So, but I highly suggest, if you are wanting to get a really good overview of what the world is like from multiple different marginalized communities' perspectives, whether you are an immigrant, whether you are homeless, whether you are born in Mexico and stay there, whether you are a woman or a man trying to prop up this sense of mainstream media, it is a wonderful showing of that, and how she does that through magical realism, which is absolutely fantastic. It's just a treat. It's just a treat to watch. It's the chapters move by very fast, but well, I think that's obviously a stylistic and a choice. It's an intentional choice, stylistic and intentional choice. How fast the chapters really move, and how we'll move from one character to the next, and it's not in order. Like I told you, the reason people, why critics call this a postmodernist novel, is for her description and critique of like the meta narratives that sort of influence our lives and how she goes about that. But I say contemporary due to her actual writing and how it really focuses on time. But yeah, it is, and it doesn't, like, you never lose yourself in this novel either. Like, you are always grounded in either like in the here and now, where things are always happening, or you are grounded in generations and centuries of history, a cultural history of Latin America and what they went through over the past 500 years. It's a real treat, and much like with a true contemporary work in the analytical sense, in the literary theorist, critical theory sense, the ending is ambiguous but rewarding, and I highly suggest picking up a copy if you can. Tropic of Orange, Karente Yamashita. Her writing is unique, stylized, but very aware of so many different issues and how she sees them and how others see them and how they interact with one another in the future, in the present, and in the past. So yeah, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed writing my paper on it as well. I think she just did a great job, and I think there's a lot of scholarly work to talk about it, and which I could get into that, and maybe I will later on for other videos about other works. But yeah, so that's all I have for now. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you later. Goodbye.